Hey, what's up everyone? If you're a bit mad about the new patch, I've got some very cool things for you because Christianer just got actually a pretty good run in Home Story Cup and played two amazing builds against Hero Marine in the group stage, which he won 2-0. So I'm gonna show you exactly how he plays because you can learn from him definitely. So to kick things off, he's going to go for a chrono boost at about 8 seconds, as you should do up to, but by this point you should be able to remember it. Every single game, every matchup, you should chrono boost at 7 or 8 seconds so that you have an optimization of your economy. So yeah. Pylon goes down at 12. I'm gonna speed up the process just a little bit. So it's 8 seconds chrono boost, 12 pylon, then 14 gate. You use the rally point outside of your nexus. Okay, there you go, 14 gate. And as the probe makes the gateway, it's also gonna go on a little adventure to explore the map a little bit to see what's going on, and then maybe place a little pylon, we'll see. So we go for 15 gas, and then we chrono boost the nexus yet again to optimize our economy. Some people skip it, some people don't. There are various ways to go about it. Not everybody agrees on how to properly open in this matchup, or even any matchup to be fair. So we're just gonna follow what Cristiano does because that's his game after all. So we chrono boost once again and we start rolling into the gas. We're gonna play close attention as to how many probes he puts into the gas. On the other side of the map, he's just scouting a little bit as you should. Of course, nothing too dramatic going on. Double gas opener, alright. So 19 supply, we're gonna go for our nexus. We still only have a single worker on the gas, and you can see he's rallying the worker. Actually, he's changed the rally point towards the outskirts of his base to make a cyber core. There we go, cyber core, and then he puts the probe that makes the cyber core and the probe that made the nexus into the geyser to make it 3 out of 3. There you go. Then you resume probe production, and we're gonna go for a pylon so we're not supply blocked. So I do not know if it's the optimal way. Once again, not everybody agrees. One thing that's important as you go for 21 geyser is to keep this probe alive. Do not get blocked with this probe. Do not commit to it because you need to keep it alive, because this probe is going to get a little pylon on the map later on, which will be used to actually put pressure on our opponent. So as the core finishes, you go for a stalker and a warp gate. The reason why we go for a stalker and not an adept is because now the adept production time has been nerfed and it takes 33 seconds to make it as opposed to 30 before, so a 3-second nerf. And a stalker takes 27 seconds, so it's 6 seconds faster actually to make a stalker as opposed to an adept. And also it's a bit easier to chase the Reaper. Alright, so we're gonna get rid of this Reaper. Just keep going with the stalker production, get another one. And we're just gonna halt the worker production just for a second or two to get 2 extra gateways. It is absolutely mandatory that both gateways are done when warp gate research is also done. But because we're going to chrono boost the cyber core, as you can see on the screen, it is absolutely crucial to get these gateways fast enough. So we go for a final stalker, which is stalker number 3, and then you just make probes one by one without chrono boosting them. And as your warp gate research is about to complete, this probe is gonna get close to your opponent's base. Not too close. You don't want this pylon to be literally here and make it easy to spot. You want to avoid this trajectory where medevacs come from, and just slightly outwards so that it's harder to spot, but close enough to actually put some decent pressure. So you keep making probes one by one like this. It is possible to perhaps optimize this build by just mining slightly less gas. Maybe you could just leave 2 probes in each geyser. There's maybe optimization to be done, but as of now we're not really into it. This probe can patrol perhaps in this location to see if medevacs cross the map, which is the case here. So Cristiano is gonna go on the map, of course, because he's planning to put pressure. So he saw the trajectory of the medevac, so he's just gonna intercept it. Well done with the probe, and he's gonna warp in 3 stalkers offensively. Now, what do? Do you pull back with the stalkers in this specific scenario to go attack? It's up to you, but there's also a case to actually cross the map, but because Cristiano saw no expand, they decided to just pull back. Right now, as you can see, there's no command center. So in most games, you will find a CC and you will just be able to cross the map. Maybe even ignore the bunker, go behind it and just kill the workers and deal as much damage as possible. The natural follow-up of this would be to get a Twilight Council, go into Blink, third base, and just resume as if you open with Blink. But basically, it's a very dedicated pressure that you do in the early. In this case, Cristiano is going to use his offensive build as a defensive mechanism because, of course, when you try to attack, you've got a lot of units. And when you've got a lot of units, it means it makes defending also easier in the case of a one-base all-in, which is the case here. When at almost 5 minutes you see Marines rallying like this, SCVs crossing the map, and no command center over here, especially when your opponent opened with a 2-gas opener, which means heavy tech, well, it's pretty obvious that your opponent is attacking on single base. And even if it's not, well, good for you, because you have way more workers than your opponent, so good for you. So now, the goal of Cristiano, when you want to deal with this kind of strategy, is something that I found very smart. Is going to try to sandwich his opponent's army and try to buy as much time as possible. The main strength of siege tanks in this scenario is when they're able to siege right to your face and start to threaten your economy, your nexus, your batteries, or so be it. So you really want to delay this attack as much as possible. So put your stalkers in between your base and the army of your opponent. Try not to lose tabs of that army, because if this army avoids your own, then you could be in trouble. You could perhaps have a pylon like this, a probe and patrol in one location, and then you can use your stalkers for counterattack also when you've got enough units at home. Right now, that's quite a bit of units that Cristiano's got for himself, plus the battery. Maybe we could add an immortal when we have the gas. But now what he's doing is gonna put his army in between his opponent's base and his opponent's army, which means he's going to be able to cut reinforcements, which is a very big deal. Because if you're both players are on low economy and you can just keep rallying units as Terran, well, you don't really have a clock on your head. Basically, you can take your time and siege your way up to the Protoss base. But if Cristiano like this prevents his opponent from running more units, it means that this army, will not get any bigger. But Cristiano's army is gonna get much bigger. He had 3 gates at the beginning and he decided to add extra gateways because, of course, it's got a bit more economy. Perhaps he could have made immortals and cut on the stalker production. That's also a possibility. But anyway, Cristiano is gonna come from both angles, and of course siege tanks suffer from wide concave and several angle location different angles to attack from, because of course they will reduce the AoE. So you just attack from several locations. You can get a couple probes. I'm sure he could have made an immortal instead of stalkers and gazelles instead, because of the lack of gas. It would have been a very easy one. But anyway, that's an aggressive build you can use as defense, and the second build is even better. I'm going to show you that right now. My RTS Dojo is a website that I've created with Elaser and Spirit, where you can find tons of different strategies, builds, and tips on how to improve for all 3 races, Zerg, Terran, and Protoss. If you're watching me, you're probably watching Protoss content. So here I've made, for example, how to learn new maps like a pro, and I'm gonna make soon new strategies and builds for the new patch, especially the 8-worker start. So if you want to learn new builds and improve and get some fun in Starcraft 2, my RTS Dojo is where it's at. All right, this build is actually amazing. It's an amazing cheese, and as you can see, there's already action from the get-go, because Cristiano literally will send one of the very first 8 workers that he made straight across the map towards the natural. I'm sorry, I just had some sparkling water. So he's gonna chrono boost a bit later. Instead of chrono boosting at 8 or 7 seconds like you would normally do, because you have a bit less income because you sent one of your first worker, you gotta chrono boost at 13, 14 seconds. It's more like a map dependent thing also, because of course some maps have closer mirror patches than others, so it's not an exact science, but just delay the chrono boost by maybe 5 or 6 seconds, just so that you don't get out of resources to get the next worker. So 12 pylon, you know, it's not exactly in his base, as you may have noticed, but it's still 12 pylon. You're gonna make another worker, and we're gonna go for double proxy gate. So this build is actually very good, I think, on this patch, because it seems that overall these kind of strategies have been slightly buffed. I've seen that early pools have also been quite a bit buffed against Protoss. So we're gonna cut workers completely as of now, because you want the gateways to be as fast as possible. So we stay at 13 workers. So we went 12 pylon, got 1 probe, and then we cut to get double gates. And then we go for a resume. He's gonna resume the probes finally, and then get a gas. It's important to actually resume the probes, because you need enough economy to support 2 gateways, and we also need to get a cyber core. We're not just gonna make zealots, obviously, we're gonna get stalkers, much better units. So keep on making probes. There's literally nothing to do at this point. So if you stop making probes, well, it's very bad. The moment your gas, finishes, you need to put 3 probes inside of it right away because it's the only geyser you're going to get. The second your gateway finishes, you need to make a core right away. It is absolutely crucial to get it immediately, right? I mean, you're literally all in and putting all your shit on the other side of the map. So you better have your stuff on time. All right, how many probes do we stop? 16. We need 12 in the minerals, 3 in the gas. And the last one is here, of course, if you did the math. Notice one thing. This is actually important. Cristiano is not going from here to there. He's making a little tiny move, look, to make it seems as if he's just scouting normally. Because if the Terran is paying attention and you see the worker coming from this angle rather than this one, it's pretty obvious that you proxied something. So make sure you make it seem as if you're playing normal as much as possible. Make sure you get a little pylon over there, and then we're gonna get 1 zealot and then get a 2nd zealot once we can afford it. Of course, we don't have a lot of economy to work with this kind of strategies, especially with the 8 worker start. So we delay stuff a little bit. You can see it doesn't have that much stuff either. Perhaps you could leave your probe inside the Terran base to try buy some time in case of a Reaper shows up to reduce the likelihood of actually being scouted. Of course, on this map, it's actually very hard to find this little pocket area, right? So it's actually a good location. And then you will queue 2 stalkers and chrono boost both of them. We're not gonna make the warp gate research a thing in this game because we simply cannot afford it in terms of gas. So we're just gonna chrono boost 2 stalkers, and once we have 4 stalkers, we're gonna attack. But after you're queued 2 stalkers, it is absolutely mandatory to get a shield battery at home because you have 0 units. So it is important to actually have something to deal with the Reaper, and a battery is going to do a great job at exactly that. So you need a battery to protect your workers at all costs. We've got Stalker number 1. We're about to have Stalker number 2. Try to queue another one as fast as possible. If you have hotkeys, and you should have hotkeys on your gateway, you're going to be able to queue another one of these beautiful Stalkers on the 2nd gateway. So make sure you have hotkeys on your gateways. It is more important than ever. There's no excuse not to have one because it's literally the only production you can have in this game. And then it's all about the micro now. You want to kite as much as possible. Make sure you have the zealots in the front. Try not to get surrounded. This is actually pretty important. You don't want to lose your units stupidly because it's all you have. It is also possible if you're a higher level player to put your stalkers in a different control group to have a special target fire, but it is not mandatory. As you can see, the grenade actually pushed the stalkers on the inside, which trapped it, so it's very well played by Heroine, a very nice move. But you really want to focus on targeting the SCVs and Marines if that's possible. Keep in mind you don't even have to commit fully. Like if your opponent's defending really hard, you can see Cristiano is actually resuming the probe production. You can actually take a Nexus at some point, but it is important to actually deal critical damage with these kind of strategies. You can target the Marines, target the SCVs, the 2 most important units you want to kill. If a mine tries to burrow, just try to kill it as fast as possible and commit to it. The magic number is 4 stalkers to actually kill an SCV or a Marine. So you know, if you have 2 stalkers, you can 2-tap the Marines or the SCVs. If a SCV is making a bunker, make sure you target it to kill it rapidly. And that's pretty much it. The transition out of it is ideally winning the game because you've made your whole fucking base on this side of the map. But other than that, keep making probes and you can eventually get a Nexus. It is actually a possibility and just resume from there. But of course, it's very committed, so you really need to get a lot of damage. But I think with these huge strategies that I've just showed you, you should be able to get some nasty wins against Terran on this new patch. So I hope you liked it, and I'll see you around. Have a good one.